Ladies and gentlemen, this is All Things Pro Wrestling with your host, Danny Haro.
And Mike Larkin, host of On the Mic with Mike and contributor to Capital Championship Wrestling.
And today we will be reviewing the Great American Bash that took place in Texas. Now, before we even get to the main card, Mike here is going to let us in on the pre-show that went down prior to the main.
There was one match on the pre-show. It was Nathan Frazier, Ulysses Leon, and Valentina Varas and Dragon Lee against the Metaphor, Noam Dar, Jakara Jackson, Lash Legend, and Ora Mensa. I will say this. For the 8-person tag that we had, it was high-octane aerial assault. I mean, you had friggin' Valentina Varas and Ulysses Leon do double teams to the outside where they threw him up, boom, much like we saw with Nathan Frazier and Ora Mensa. I think what I liked about it is it was high-octane aerial assault. It made sense for everybody to get in. Lash Legend hit a double clothesline and a big boot. I think everybody worked hard. Jakara Jackson, who's very relatively new, also showed up and showed out. Ora Mensa, who was the former Oliver Carter in NXT UK. It was a nice way to heighten up the crowd. Ora Mensa hit an alley-oop type of maneuver onto Nathan Frazier and then Dragon Lee. But I really enjoyed how everybody really showed up and showed out. The finishing sequence came where Nathan Frazier hit the reverse Spanish fly off the springboard to Ora Mensa. Then Ora Mensa got the what I like to call the Destino, the Tetsuya Naito finish that Dragon Lee does for the 1-2-3. And Dragon Lee, Nathan Frazier, and Valentina Varas and Ulysses Leon got the win in the 8-person tag. I mean, it makes sense of what we've seen going on with Nathan Frazier, Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup. But I think as a way to really start the crowd up and liven it up, it was a good way to start it out. Great 8-person tag. For those who've not seen it, go out of your way and watch it. Go back to the watching on the kickoff.
I'm one of those people, so I am going to watch it after we're done with our episode here. Just by the way you described it, I cannot wait to see that. Let's move on to the main card. Let's start right away with, I think this was the downer of the night, in my opinion. Could be a hot take. Baron Corbin versus Gable Stevenson.
Oh, you're just going to start with that one. Okay, now. All right, here we go. So Gable Stevenson, dude, here's my thing. When this was announced, I was looking forward to it from a sense of Gable Stevenson. We've seen him with the NXT Underground. I mean, he is the brother of Damon Kemp.
Yep.
And this has been a long way to debut ever since he beat up Chad Gable at WrestleMania. They've heightened it. It's like Kurt Angle Jr. And Baron Corbin was going to be that perfect antagonist to what we saw, but no, that's not what happened. What we got was a couple power moves in the ring, a nice ankle lock and a slam by Baron Corbin, a German suplex to the outside by Gable Stevenson. There were chants of "Let's go Corbin" and "You're not Angle" at Gable Stevenson. And then it turned into a big old brawl. Baron Corbin got shoved into Booker T's chair. They fought over the ring announcer's table. It was a double countout. People chanted bullshit. The security got involved. The security took a belly-to-belly and a nice little right hands from Baron Corbin, and they both beat up security. They both beat up each other, and then the finishing sequence of what we saw there was belly-to-belly from Gable Stevenson to Baron Corbin through the barricade, which looked oogle and it looked intense, but also at the same time, it finished with the brawl, the double countout. So obviously this feud is going to continue, but from a match standpoint, it was not a good showing so far for Mr. Stevenson. What'd you think about the double count out finish, Danny?
So yeah, I was gonna the fans tell you a lot about the match. Mm-hmm. And I think this goes back to the COVID era where a lot of wrestlers would say, it was hard to judge their own performance because they didn't have fan reactions. Fan reactions really put a lot towards the match. If the fans aren't reacting, you can have the best match, but it won't reflect on TV. In this case, you're not Angle. Let's go Corbin. Kind of shows you that people aren't with Stevenson, at least not yet, right?
No.
And like you kind of said, just the showing really was. I mean, you have the couple power moves, you have the beating up security, which is everyone's gonna pop for that regardless. It could have been, I don't know, Dominic Mysterio. It could have been Dolph Ziggler hitting security. People are gonna pop for that spot, no matter who it is. My thing is WWE trying to shove Gable down people's throats? And I mean, that's definitely how it looks like, because one thing is you're not Angle is what really got me. people right away were like, you know what, we're rejecting him right off the bat. WWE has this tendency to shove wrestlers down our throats. Um, I do feel like it was way too long from when he signed to debut now. Whether that was him having to be properly trained, et cetera, et cetera. I think it did take too long. I think people got tired of it because when he first signed, there was a hype of like, okay, we got Gable in WWE, et cetera, et cetera. I think they took too long. I don't think Baron Corbin was the right opponent in terms of people love Baron Corbin. No one wants to see him have to put Stevenson over. I feel like it should have been someone else from NXT. Overall, double count out. This is bullshit chance. I don't know where WWE was heading with this. If I was them, I'd try to find a way to cut this storyline short and not drag it any longer.
Well, that was my thing. You're doing this reinvention of Baron Corbin's character. I'm like, you can't have him lose right out of the gate. You can't have Gable lose. So what the hell are you going to do? But also at the same time, like you mentioned, the in-between time of just the fact that he debuts, beats up Chad Gable at WrestleMania, then you see nothing. Then he appears with Kurt Angle on SmackDown with the milk truck and everything. And then you just see him on NXT with the NXT Underground. Then it's like all of a sudden I'm going to make my decision. Am I going to go back to the Olympics in college or am I going to stay in NXT? And then that set up what we got. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Me personally is watching the whole thing on Fathom and Unroll here. I don't want to see it again, but it looks like we're going in that direction. So let's just see how everything goes. But that for me, like you mentioned, was probably the only downer that I had on this entire show.
Yeah. We should, yeah, I think we should move on from that. I mean, hopefully, maybe we're wrong. Maybe it was their first outing and it gets better as it goes. But for now, like you said yourself, I definitely would not want to have to see that again. Knowing WWE and their history, we'll probably see it 5 more times.
Yes.
All right. Let's go with you know what? You pick one. Which match would you like to talk about?
Oh, you know what we're gonna do here, man. We're gonna talk about the D'Angelo family, Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo beating Gallus for the tag team championships. Those Stu nods. Oh man, I loved it for the fact that they cut off. It was great tag team wrestling. They cut off the ring. They, pretty much did the tag team maneuvers that Gallus are known for, and it really showcased the story of okay, Joe Coffey cost him there at Stand and Deliver. How are we gonna, infiltrate Joe Coffey here? Well, Tony D'Angelo hits him with the crowbar. Standing Stacks Lorenzo, he does the old leap, the old as he runs, almost think of like the Hardy Boys with the poetry in motion, the step up, but he just throws him with the toss. Like, I love that sequence. And then Tony D'Angelo power bombs Mark Coffey onto Wolfgang to the steps, which, oh my goodness, that thud. But also at the same time, dude, he gets him in the ring. They hit the bada boom, bada bing, 1, 2, 3. We have new tag team champions. I thought everything that went into this match went perfectly. Everything flowed together. Everything synced. And this was the time to pull the trigger. If there was any time to pull the trigger from everything, from being in jail, from being cost the match at Stand and Deliver, finally Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo get their victory and get their much needed push, get their much needed time, their recognition to become the NXT Tag Team Champions. I thought it made sense. I thought it was the right time, and I cannot wait to see going forward what we have here. So congratulations to Tony D and Channing Stacks Lorenzo. Hey.
Yeah, I actually don't want to take away from all the other matches, but this one really had me like just there and entertained. Everything that was leading up to this moment was performed. Like you said, I think it was the right time. Now, for people that don't know this, I didn't watch it live. I actually just watched it today. As we're recording this, it's Monday. And even me knowing the results, I still popped when they won. I think they deserved it, and I think this just leaves. They're one of the best tag teams in NXT, and I don't even think that's a hot take. I think that's facts, and I think this just leaves the door open for them to face other good tag teams in NXT, and I'm very excited to see where they go with D'Angelo and Channing. So.
I think both have come a long way, and they've improved and and what I love about it too is as well, like you mentioned, to go off what you're saying, the many tag teams. I mean, they brought Los Lotharios down. You could do something with Los Lotharios. You could do something with Nathan Frazier and Dragon Lee. You could
Yep.
do something with Gallus again. You could do so many infiltrated tag teams here that it works. Prince and the other one who just came in, the two
Yep.
Division 1 football players that's with
Yep.
us now. Like, give me something that's new, that's fresh, but also give me if you want to do a rematch with Gallus. I like it. And also the fact that I'll even throw this one out here because we haven't seen him and I'm sure they're going to go back down there. Maximum Male Models. If you rebrand Maximum Male
Yep.
Models, there you go. So they have a lot of tag teams to work with. And I think what we have here, like you mentioned, them being the best tag team in NXT, from their reaction, from everything they put into it, that's a no-brainer, man. So I mean, it was the right time. And like I mentioned, they pulled the trigger. And I can't wait to see the rest of what we do with these couple fugazis. He's got a couple cannolis to celebrate, so it's gonna be good.
The options are endless.
Yep.
So WWE has a lot of ways they can go in any direction they want. So let's go with Dirty Dom versus Wesley versus Mustafa Ali. What are your takes?
This was so fun for me. Like, I liked the spot where he was going for the three amigos and they did like a double suplex three amigos. I thought was sweet. Dude, like I mentioned with the pre-show match, this was high octane aerial assault. This was just working on. I like the fact that they went right after Dom, the whole chops as they're going beating up, talking and beating up each other. They just wind up chopping him in the corner. It's hilarious. You have the comedy spots, but also at the same time, it's fun. And also the fact that they both hate him because they're all both in this position. Wesley was hoping it would just be him and Mustafa, but here comes Dirty Dom to infiltrate that. And I thought everybody worked so well with one another. Dom has really stepped it up from a character-wise and a professional wrestling-wise, and the infiltration of Mommy. My God, we have Rhea Ripley telling Wesley, don't do it. There's a little cat and mouse chase. He does the dive over her, and then Rhea Ripley winds up giving her the riptide through the announce table. And Dominic gets a near fall off of that after the drop kick by Mustafa. So he's kind of caught up in the old tree of woe, if you will. He hits the 450. 1-2, no. Mommy rips it out there, gets him out. Frog splash, 1-2-3. Dirty Dom is still the North American champion. You have Dirty Dom, you have the Judgment Day, who have been on all three brands. And this is what I love about it, too. And people can say what they will, but this is kind of reminds me of the early days of NXT when you had main roster stars like the Ascension go against the Usos. You had people like Too Cool go down there to go against the Ascension, Seth Rollins and Jinder Mahal. You had Tyson Kidd down there. You had Damian Sandow wrestle on NXT. You had so many people from the main roster come down there. And I like the fact that they're utilizing all three brands for everybody to work with and to learn from. I think it's a good time to be an NXT fan because this brand has really risen up these last several months. And I mean, especially now with the Judgment Day, Dominic ratings are up here because they love the character. They love to hate the character, but also at the same time, they want to see him get his ass kicked. So Dirty Dom retaining, it is a good time to be an NXT fan and a Judgment Day fan, but also at the same time to have that dastardly heel that you want to see lose so badly and get your ass kicked. It's an infiltration. It is an investment into the character. Dirty Dom all day, every day. So yes, I enjoyed it very much.
I did as well. And the thing is, I'm already a Judgment Day fan as it is. So just like you said, there was a comedy spots, but you can also tell like the match was serious at the same exact time. That riptide from Rhea onto the announce table. Just watching her and Dominic work together, it's kind of like, we haven't really seen much of that in recent times. The Judgment Day alone kind of just all right, this might be shooting for the stars here, but they kind of remind me of the Shield in a way, and just causing destruction in every brand that they go to, not caring about the repercussions at all. Obviously, they'll never get to the status of what the Shield was, but it reminds me of like a baby Shield, they're destroying anyone, they're taking whatever they want, they're grabbing all these titles. But in general, the match is really good. I love the interference from Rhea and helping Dominic win. It was one of my favorite matches. I was really looking forward to it. And kind of like with the tag teams, with this storyline now, they can kind of go in two directions. Now they can go Dominic Wesley, or they can go Dominic and Ali, or they can just keep all three in the same picture again. I'm not tired of seeing that. I can see another triple threat match, or I can see them all three just feuding again for a little bit longer. So I like the match, and I'm actually very excited to see where they go with that.
I like your comparison of early Shield, like 2012, 2013 Shield.
Exactly. Yes.
when you had Dean Ambrose beat Kofi for the U.S. title and Roman and Seth beat Team Hell No for the tag titles. I like that. I mean, like you mentioned, there's endless possibilities there, but I also will incorporate what we saw. I love the subtlety, intricacy, and nuance of Lyra Valkyria and JC Jane fighting in the back, and Rhea's like, that's what I'm talking about, because she got Lyra Valkyria in there. But also at the same time, later on, we saw, Dragon Lee, you remind me of my deadbeat dad. You're influenced by Rey Mysterio. I want to see Dominic and Dragon Lee. I think that's going to be even really good too.
I think Rhea called him Batman. That sent me off. That was the funniest thing ever, man.
I forgot about that. Yes.
Yes. Dude, Rhea is a gem.
She is such a good. Oh man, yes, she called him Batman. Oh man. And also the fact, here's what I loved about it too, and I'll say this on the pre-show when you go back and watch it, and I say this to watch it, Danny. She gets interviewed and she's like, Dominic's just in there, he's stretching, he's getting ready, he's brushing his mullet, and I'm like, okay, you see, now that I love, just because the brushing the mullet. It's so good. It's so good.
I agree. Talking about females here, Roxanne Perez versus Blair Davenport.
This was a throwback for me because as she's greeting her family and she's going through the crowd, I'll take everybody back to 2009 when Chris Jericho attacked Rey Mysterio, come from the crowd when he's wearing the Rey mask. I like that little subtlety. It was back and forth. She got her with a branding iron, for God's sake. Trash can lids, trash cans. We saw bull rope, cowbell. They really went hard in this. And also the best part was her sister, just like in shock and just the best actress. She was so disheartened because she was getting beaten up. Blair Davenport beating her up in front of the family. Oh my God. From what they told from that standpoint, again, we talked about that hometown girl getting in there. Like we mentioned in the predictions in the preview, it worked. Everything told a story. Everything had its purpose. The ending came where the splash through the table and then she hit the pop rocks on the chair. Oh my God, for the 1, 2, 3. I thought this is what we needed. We might get the rubber match here, which I definitely want to see, or maybe this is it. We don't know, but I want a rubber match. It made sense here to get that revenge. I mean, Blair Davenport has been ruining and just going through the entire women's division, being that attacker, going through everybody to prove why she's the dominant female there. Like I mentioned in the preview, the matches with Mako Satomura and everything that we saw in NXT UK, and her and Roxanne have such great chemistry. I mean, for God's sake, they did a Stone Cold Booker T with Roxanne and her going at it in the supermarket. Yeah. We saw at the DreamCon with the anime convention, her and Blair Davenport brawling there. It was an intensified feud, and it brought Roxanne up another level to amplify herself. So I enjoyed it, and the right person went over.
I agree with that last part. The right person indeed did go over. Like you said, everything leading up to that match made sense. There's times where WWE, will have a storyline, and then when they get to the final spot, everything just didn't add up. Everything didn't have a purpose. To use your words, everything had a purpose. Everything that was done had a purpose. I'm a weapons kind of guy. So to see two female kind of use weapons and just destroy each other, it's awesome to see, because a lot of people have that image of only guys can throw hardcore matches with weapons and stuff. So to see two young girls kind of take on that match and make it what it was, and to me, I would say 9 out of 10. It was a great match. The right person went over, and I do want to see that rubber match. I'm actually rooting for that. I think that's the only right choice. Other than that, yeah, Roxanne did amazing. It would have been sad to see her lose in Texas. So I'm glad WWE didn't go the other direction. And yeah.
We'll say this: if you want to see a women's hardcore match, guys, go back to Survivor Series 2002 with Victoria and Trish, or just watch their street fight match in early 2003. You want to see plunder and good weapons, watch those two matches.
I agree. Mike, why don't you fill us in on the second women's match that was happening that night?
Tiffany Stratton and Thea Hale in a submission match for the NXT Women's Championship. First of all, the fact that she came out with the raise hail and the whole Rocky type vibe, man, It was awesome. And she was the ultimate underdog. These two went at it. Suplex off the top rope. A lot of exploder suplex and trading counters back and forth. They told the story of just working over the leg and working over the back. And she did the prettiest moonsault ever to her back. These two had a great chemistry of, what am I going to do? I'm going to avoid the Kimura. I'm going to avoid this. She really went that being, and I said this to you even on the previous show, if Thea Hale can do like a single leg Boston Crab or a Boston Crab, what I love about that too is it's very Lance Storm reminiscent, but also at the same time it works. She worked over the body part that needed to be worked over. And I love the fact that, she put her hand on the rope, but the ref's like, no, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't matter here. So she wound up getting out of that. They both worked their buns off. They both worked each other on the outside back into the ring. I think these two have great chemistry. I think the fact of the matter is it was a nice touch with Andre Chase throwing in the towel at the end because she didn't want to see Thea Hale in such pain anymore. She ranked it with, it was like a single leg, almost like a version of the Lion Tamer that Jericho does with the leg on the back. Here's my thing, though. It reminded me very much of think of Bob Backlund. I'll take everybody back. Bob Backlund, Arnold Skaaland when he was going for the WWF title with Iron Sheik and everything that happened there. I'll even compare it to, you look at Vince McMahon and Stephanie McMahon, the I Quit match where Linda threw in the towel. You see a lot of that. And I think if you look in popular culture in the 80s, Rocky Balboa and, Apollo Creed and Ivan Drago throws in the towel. It's one of those things that it's a picture perfect sequence to go to the finish, but also at the same time, it's like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Let her keep fighting. But at the same time, it plays into NXT, maybe she'll be upset. Mr. Chase, why'd you throw in the towel? I had it. You know what I'm saying? So there's another interaction to see the fallout that goes into NXT. But other than that, I think they did their job. They both look strong, and it makes Tiffany Stratton be that champion that she is to go on and on further into NXT. Her reign is not done yet. So between that matchup, I thought it was really good, and I thought the sequence went good, and I thought the finish, like we talked about, everything served its purpose. These two did their thing.
I like your take. Now it's time for me to turn heel.
Okay, go ahead.
I did not like the match.
All right.
I think their submissions were sloppy. I don't think this match benefited either talent. It might just be that I watched it once. Maybe. I'm not too sure. The submissions kind of look sloppy. Are they both talented individuals? Yes. We've seen that. There's no questioning that. Was this the right stipulation for them? It kind of looks sloppy. Yes, some of the submissions were done correctly. At one point in the match, it kind of just looked like they didn't know what they were doing out there. Like I said, that could just be me. I could be wrong. But I did just watch it, so I'm just fresh off of watching it. Like you said, this leads to a lot of things, though. A lot of stuff come out of this. They can redeem themselves. I just personally didn't like it, and once again, I just want to make this clear. Both of these women are talented, very good. There's no questioning that. This match for me just didn't do it.
All right. I will follow up in your point. You are not turning heel here because I also did notice this too. There was a spot in the match where Thea Hale was going for a suicide dive through the ropes. And I think Tiffany was trying to turn it into a power slam, but it kind of looked like she missed her. And it just it looked very wonky. The bow and arrow was very nice that she did onto Thea Hale. Yeah. There was a spot with the suplex off the top, or just the overall suplex. I think Tiffany got dumped on her dome piece. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, but other than that, yeah, there was some sloppy points in that matchup, but I think they worked their hardest. But yeah, I concur with you on the sloppiness, though. I do agree with you.
All right. Our last match. What were your thoughts?
Oh, okay. So Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov for the NXT Championship. Oh my God. First of all, one of Ilya Dragunov's best match besides the Walter match in NXT UK and on NXT. These two beat the crap out of each other with chops and smacks to the face and boots. Ilya Dragunov is the guy that just goes out there and doesn't care. I equate him to Walter, to Gunther. Stiff as hell. They work their style, but he likes getting it back in return. And I think both of these men did their thing. The suplex into the cutter by Carmelo Hayes, the code breaker. First of all, the man sold his ass off the code breaker, off of everything that they did. This was just pure magic, man. I mean, you didn't know which way it was going to go. I liked Trick being the hype man. This is why you do this. Remember what you're fighting for. You know what I'm saying? It's the fourth quarter. Finish it. Like, I love the hype man stuff. Carmelo Hayes went in the gate, and Ilya Dragunov did the running with the punch. He tries to go for the uppercut and misses. There was a nice sequence of near falls, but then in the end, I mean, here's what's interesting about it, and Vic Joseph pointed this out. They're fighting on the outside, and then Dragunov tries to go for Carmelo Hayes, but he goes into Trick, but Trick had that title up, and Ilya went into that title, and then nothing but net 1, 2, 3. This could lead to Ilya saying, hey, man, if it wasn't for Trick and him putting that title up, then you want to be the champion. So it leaves more leg room for them to have a rematch, and I'm all for it. So I thought from top to bottom, all I could say is, folks, if you've not watched this main event, go out of your way to watch it, because it is really good. It really intensifies and amplifies why the importance of the NXT championship is there, much like with everything on this card, everything serving its purpose. To be repetitive again, I don't mean to be, but it's the truth. But also at the same time, you have to take into account here, this is one of his toughest challenges to date, being Carmelo Hayes for the NXT championship. You've gone away from the Braun Breaker feud, and it looks like Braun Breaker's going into a feud with Von Wagner now, so you put that together. I want to see another round one more time. I mean, we got NXT No Mercy at the end of September on the 30th, so give me the rematch there. I liked it. I think what a better way to close the show than that. That was a hell of a main event, dude.
I agree. Carmelo is him, and Ilya is him. I mean, what a match, man. I mean, this match was main roster worthy of a main event. And kind of like what you said with what happened with Trick towards the end, this can lead to the rematch. And that's what I kind of liked about this show. Almost every match had a cliffhanger per se of, now we can use this to extend. Like, every match had an ending where you can extend the storyline to keep them going, possibly to No Mercy, like you said. And that's kind of what caught my attention, honestly. I the more I was watching it, sometimes they finish the storylines quickly, sometimes it's like a one match thing and then that's it. A lot of these matches that happened at Great American Bash, we can see a part 2, maybe a part 3. But with Carmelo Hayes and Ilya, I mean, what a match, man. I mean, NXT has a lot to prove, especially the new system, the new style, and Carmelo and Ilya both prove that NXT should be something people watch, something people respect, and there should be a round 2, and I'll be watching. Round 1 definitely had me like just all crazy. I loved it, and hats off to both. They're both amazing talents. Hats off to everybody on the card. They, even if the matches were, sloppy, people weren't into it, everyone gave it their all, and they all performed for NXT and tried to prove that this brand is not to be messed with. So for the main event, best, like you said, great way to end the night, great way to send people home, and I enjoyed it. I would say 9.5 out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10.
I think for me, if I was to give this card a whole grade, I give it maybe a B plus and A minus. I would give it like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 as well. I think for me, I love the intricacies of the dirty rat thing for the Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo entrance. I love the throwback to Dusty with, to get a dream and, hold on to it and shoot for the stars. Like, I love that, because Dusty being the Great American Bash originator and Cody doing the cold open. And for me, I'll point out a couple other things, man. Like, we got JC Jane and we have Lyra Valkyria this Tuesday. A couple other notes: Dom and Rhea coming back after Shawn Michaels wanted to shake the hands, and they just and Shawn just goes, "Your daddy should have gave you a spanking," which I thought was great. For me, dude, like, the other thing I will mention that we didn't mention here, Danny, I want to get your thoughts. So for Tuesday, they also have the Schism, the dyad there with the whole thing with the interrogation, because they don't know who the 2 masked men were who attacked them and cost them the matchup on NXT. I'm going to tell you right now my thoughts on that, and I want to get your thoughts. It's the Creed brothers trying to get back in NXT. What do you think, to try to infiltrate the dyad and the schism to get back in NXT and break them up? You know what I'm saying? What do you think?
It's funny because I was thinking it was the Creed brothers too. Um, would you think, and this is just me, would you think it's a debut of a talent that we haven't seen yet? See, that wouldn't really make sense, right? But just so, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense for it to be anyone else than the Creed brothers. Realistically, can you really put a different team in there or a different group of guys in there?
No, because I don't know who you would put in there. And I mean,
Exactly.
that's the thing. There's no other tag teams. I mean, everybody has their place within the tag team role, so the Creed brothers would make sense. And I mean, the only other feud that they have this week on NXT, and I'm looking forward to it, Eddie Thorpe and Dijak. What do you think?
Yep.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it. First of all, this upcoming episode of NXT, which is we would probably this would probably drop after, but hopefully everyone watched it. It is looking to be a great card. Um, I I'm for all of it. I'm more kind of excited on to find out who the masked men were, even though I think we all know who they were. Um, I'm very excited for this upcoming NXT show. Like I said, probably already had aired by the time we put this out. Um, but I'm excited and I'll be watching.
same here, man. And I think that is our review of NXT Great American Bash. If you have not watched it, go out of your way. And for Danny here, go back and watch the kickoff match. And for
Yes.
anybody, yes, and for everybody, watch it from the kickoff, the hot opener, watch the entire show. The only downer, like we mentioned, is Gable Steveson and Baron Corbin. But other than that, it's a very solid show. I will say this, it was not one of their best takeovers, but it was a good takeover. And that's the best way I can describe it. And now we are on our way towards SummerSlam this week, and we will be doing our preview show and our predictions in the upcoming days for that. Danny, are you excited?
I was about to say I'm very, very excited for SummerSlam. Um, a lot of great matches. I mean, the Roman Reigns. I'm very excited for that match. Can Roman lose? I'm very excited to see what direction they go in. Uh, Most likely won't happen, but he's like, dirt sheets. He's not scheduled for like 3 pay-per-views after SummerSlam. So did they kind of give it away maybe, or he's known for taking breaks with the title anyways? And every other match on that card. I mean, this is shaping up to be a very good SummerSlam. And to remind everybody, this is WWE's last pay-per-view before AEW's giant pay-per-view in London. Money in the Bank did its thing. It was a 10 out of 10 for me. We discussed that. If you guys haven't watched our review and preview, or preview and review, you guys can go on our YouTube and check that out. That was definitely a 10 out of 10. Can SummerSlam top that off? And can SummerSlam be a banger to where AEW really feels the pressure? Because that's how I'm kind of looking at it now. I mean, AEW does have a big show, and in WWE's defense, AEW hasn't announced any matches, or I'm pretty sure they've announced like maybe one, if I'm not mistaken, but that's it.
So for All In, the UK show, nothing's been announced. They only
Okay.
announced one match for All Out, and that's Luchasaurus and Darby Allin.
Yeah. So I mean, this card is really great. If everyone executes, if everything plays out the way it should, um, I'm expecting a huge SummerSlam, and like I said, the pressure will be on for AEW. So I'm very excited for what's to come this Saturday.
And I mean, they just did announce the SummerSlam Battle Royal, one of the newer matches.
Yeah.
And MMA rules now for Ronda and Shayna. So that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, tonight's package for them was very good. I think it helped both women, and I'm excited to see where that goes as well. Does Ronda really lose and actually leave the company, which would be real life, um, situations that we're reading. obviously this is not the preview for that, but I am rooting for Ronda. So we'll see what happens, and we'll be doing the preview to that show, and then eventually the review. So I'm really excited to see what's to come this Saturday, live from Detroit.
Detroit
So
Rock City, man, to
yeah,
quote Kiss. I cannot wait, and we will be doing those prediction shows within the next few days. But I do hope you guys enjoyed this review, the quick review here of the Great American Bash. I will say this: a nice little 5 and 6 matches. That 6 matches, well, 7 if you count, that. But everything, dude. Like I said, man, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. And for those who have not checked it out, watch NXT and just enjoy professional wrestling. Like we talk about all things pro wrestling, just enjoy pro wrestling for what it is. But I have to say, before you do the closeout, and we both do the closeout here, dude, CCW this Saturday, man. Yes, the anniversary show.
yes, Blood in the Sand, CCW, and the debut of Venom.
Mm-hmm.
And on Venom, you'll see two male talents going at it, which I'm very excited that they're finally incorporating male talent into their show. CCW itself, like we talked about even on the preview, an amazing card, amazing talent. You have the Renegade Twins, you have Christina Marie, a lot of more names. You have Danny Moe. The list goes on and on. The Awakening, Harleen Lopez. Every match on that card is set to be a banger. Now, it is running the same day as SummerSlam. Luckily, CCW will be done before SummerSlam, so why not enjoy independent pro wrestling and then WWE, right? Live on Title Match Network. This company, this promotion, whatever you want to call it, ever since I've started watching, they have had nothing but bangers. The talent really work hard. The fans really love it. And Marcello, the owner, really knows what he's doing. He really puts on matches that fans are actually want to see and actually are intrigued in. And their anniversary show will be no different.
Same, man. I'll be doing my progression succession preview for that as well this week for the CCW YouTube channel. And I'll say this: CCW Action, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Capital Championship Wrestling on YouTube. Go and subscribe. And of course, like you mentioned, Title Match Network. So shout out to our boy Marcello.
I agree. I can't wait, guys. Like I said, Title Match Network Saturday. If you're not doing anything before SummerSlam, now you got some plans.
Hell yeah. And check us out, All Things Pro Wrestling on YouTube, Twitter, ATPW Pod, All Things Pro Wrestling on Instagram, and Spotify. So check us out, baby.
And before we go, I don't think this is pretty new. Jade, she is one of the members of CCW, very talented, has performed in the Northeast, is our first ever brand ambassador for All Things Pro Wrestling. So I'm excited and happy to not only be working with her, but bringing her into the family. So yes, Jade is official brand ambassador for All Things Pro Wrestling, first ever, and trust me, there will be many more. But we're excited to be working with her as well.
Thank you, Jade.
Guys, this has been the review to Great American Bash. Next time you'll see us is for the preview of SummerSlam. But until then, it has been All Things Pro Wrestling, Danny Haro,
and Mike Larkin
saying good night, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. See you next time, guys.